What is going on, everyone? Astrologer Eric Rosen here. I wanted to pop in for another little special astrology check-in for Scorpio season. We're moving on from the Libra fake tapestry season of all the beautiful sunsets and dreamy relationship shit, and it was the sun with the south node. I'm sorry. It was a dud, and we all know it, right? Just things didn't align. That's the understanding of astrology, right? That's why it's important to go beyond just like the pop astrology understanding of basic transits and actually, learn from astrologers or learn astrology in your own way that actually like looks deeper into it. And I know it can be complicated at first, it can be daunting, but that's why you got to decide, what type of person are you? Do you need a structured curriculum, or do you need to just be someone that goes and learns off on your own and makes it, a merry choose your own adventure type thing, right? But to not be scared of it. Don't fear the astrology. Don't fear the Reaper, right? Because the Grim Reaper is Pluto, and that's the big deal, right? Is Pluto at the end of Capricorn, which is the ruler of Scorpio. So this is really activating and putting the shadow elements, all the things that are scary and hide in the shadows in our face. This could be fears around money, fears around connections, owning our power dynamics. This gets into some really deep, gnarly exposure stuff now with politics. And, we've been going through this transit once a year, every year for the past 16 years. And it's different though this time because, as I talked about in a prior video, we got Mars that's going to start to oppose Pluto by the end of the week. And so this is an illumination of having to really dig deep into, I would say, mostly the reflection of the stuff that you see with other people, their shadows, especially things out in the world. Anything that feels like blocks to you achieving or thinking that there's some higher aspiration in life that's being blocked, especially if it feels like it's being blocked by something politically. This brings up this could be your boss at work, this could be your business, just all these different levels of excuses. It's actually within yourself. It's actually about going into your personal life really deeply to go, what is it that actually needs to shift within, especially our emotional state, to be a better character definition. This brings up a deep transcendental sense of who am I, right? Like almost to ask the question, like, who am I to be a victim or to whine or to, feel stuck or lethargic or powerless, tired? It throws all these questions into our face at a personal level, or to give that power away to some authority outside of ourselves. And to go, is that what we really came to this planet for? Is that why we're on Earth, is to be buoyed around at sea, Poseidon Sea, which is Neptune, which is Pluto's making aspects over to that still? This really puts a lot in our face, right? It's like it's shadow work, which is definitely mostly dealing with okay, what obviously hides that you're not seeing, right? It's the blind spots. It's the stuff that that's there. It's like I always say, shadow work's kind of like you kind of know it's there, but you kind of don't. It's like you walk into a room at night before you turn the light on. It's like, the bed's there somewhere, the dresser's there somewhere, but the details of things, you can't really see it. It's like, it's there. That's the good news about Pluto. It's like there's a sense to it, but it brings up fears. It brings up fears of having to deal with these things. This brings up everything from the basic level of just like survival, to go, what rung are you on, right? Like what aspect of things are you dealing with? Like, are you walking more of a metaphysical path to be like, okay, my survival is based on a dignification that I own my power, and therefore even during challenging times I know that I'm striving towards aspirations of thriving? Or do you fall into this other end of the spectrum, very three-dimensional, where there's so much fear that you feel like you're just trying to survive and get by, what's weird about Mars making this opposition is that can almost be oddly comforting for people. You know, almost like being used to the matrix system, you know, the matrix feed, you know, just always being afraid that you're going to lose what you have and chasing what the fuck that you don't have. Like very much these transits right now, right? This is where people can want to like clock out and like not show the fuck up, whether that's really just like for their family, like taking care of the basics around the house. I did this video outside because the weather's going to turn here soon, but it's like, you know, we got to look at these things. We got to go deep within to ourselves and go, you know, which end of the spectrum are we on? And the thing is too, it's like, it can feel like, I'm going to use the word icky, which is a strange thing to say, but like icky to say, but it's like maybe the parts of ourselves where sometimes we are like, well, I couldn't achieve that goal, or there's just too much oppression, there's too much challenge, I feel defeated, I want to give up. It's like, first of all, bullshit, don't fucking do that, because I'm channeling the universe is always on our fucking side, no matter what the fucking transits are. There's always like a lift-off moment. There's always a spark. There's always a divine spark. There's always a passionate, creative element within your soul, which is what Pluto teaches, to find that power within you. And Capricorn, to see that you can rise up out of any restrictions, right? But it's like, where have things been like so hard, where it's like, I'm not sure if I got what it takes, I'm just gonna stay in my comfort zone, which could again look like a variety of things, but especially just like, nah, it's too hard to like get up that mountain or achieve that goal or that thing. And I go, if you kind of, you know, subconsciously worked against yourself and almost like pushed your intuition into a place of pseudo safety, which it's like, welcome to 2024, stability, safety comes from within you, of owning your power. You know, knowing your skill set and your value system very well, that's had to evolve since 2018, and to create from that place. You know, it's like it's like an entrepreneurial soul. It's like, even for people, you know, that work like a 9 to 5, you have to be an entrepreneurial soul to like evolve and like get ahead and like feel better like during these times. And the value of going in and looking at these spheres and this shadow work is that it's like it slingshots you to getting to your achievement. It's like good luck grinding to get to where you want to go, especially with the node shifting in January, South Node in Virgo, which deals with your health, our day-to-day life. Like, that shit's just not going to work. You know, 10,000 hours to self-mastery or achievement. It's like, there's got to be a better intuitive flow, which we're being taught now, which is like, assess the shadow, the blocks within yourself, and then you get to go achieve the goal in that way. You know, these comforts too, like, they can be very draining. They can be, you know, almost like where it's like the numbing solution, where you're like, let me get my numbing solution, let me get my comfort, let me get my, I don't know, scrolling on this media feed, let me get this thing, let me get this food, let me you know. And then you think it's giving you comfort, but it's more of the psychological thought of comfort, but it's actually like draining you. And then, like, I've experienced this too, where it's like, well, wait, like, this has got to be like meet your basic needs type of astrology first, you know, just keep it fucking simple. North Node, Chiron in Aries, and do what needs to just be done just to like get ahead and keep taking the steps. And for some people, that's good rest, getting good food, all that shit. I'm not a doctor, blah, 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 hashtag fucking cover my ass. Speaking of ass, no, just kidding. I mean, that is a very Scorpio thing, though. You know, like, just basic reminders, like, don't get all thirsty and try to use a lustful nature of what you lust for in a dream life. Could be that that's going to somehow satisfy you, and really you're just like throwing sprinkly dust from other content creators like telling you that you can have the best life ever right now, which you're fucking full of shit, on top of the turds that are in your life that we're all collectively having to learn how to flush, because we've got a lot coming to a head. Centuries of religious, social, political persecution, even our own personal persecution, you know, of like, this brings up a lot. This brings up like wait, like, how do we fall for the spell in the first place? Like, how do we still sometimes do that? How do we still sometimes blue pill ourselves, right? And what's really weird too is like people that like are not doing that like taking that red pill and like it woke up, they're kind of over like even talking about it, being like, I woke up, I took the red pill, I'm so fucking self-aware, I see all this shit. It's like, yeah, go back to 2020. This is 2024. This is just, you're either doing it or you're not, you know. This is like God's like checkpoint for narcissism. It's crazy. This, you know, is a good energy for connecting bonds with family. Obviously there can be, you know, limitations there, this because it brings up a lot during this time. It's like here in America, it's like, you know, you got these traditional holidays coming up, you got, you know, maybe family doesn't agree on everything politically, or some just, you know, issue or debate that's like getting thrown around. So it's like you connect where you can. But I think overall, you know, we need to be really just using this energy for this shadow work, which if you're not even sure where to start, or you know that if you know there's a sticking point in your life, like I know my sticking point and I'm working through it, but it's like if you know what your sticking point is, and we've all got one, you should be putting most of your energy and effort into that thing. You should be solving the problem that is the thing that you know is fucking you the most, because the tragic truth is like until you deal with that grief that's probably already there from that wound, you create more grief by not realizing your hopes, achievements, dreams, because it's fucking you. You're fucking yourself. And it could even be something that you help other people with too, because you learn how to overcome that wound. And so this is like that humble nature of like, just remember, you know, Pluto goes back into Aquarius about a month from now, and it's like we have to own our power as problem solvers. And so it's like you come up with solutions to really deep issues in the world, but it's also the deep issue that was in yourself too, to be that walking vibration of that. But it's like those that benefit on like more of a lucrative, prosperous level on all levels is like the problem solvers, but the people more so that did the fallen angel Lucifer thing of like, I was this and this is where I was and I felt like a piece of shit, da 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 da, and like now I'm feeling like high vibrational, angelic, but like it's not fake, it's not a mask, right? Because this astrology brings up exposure of all that shit. And so this is where the force field sort of opens a little bit for the battle between, you know, the fake shit that just wants to like destroy and take people down and make people feel defeated because of imposter syndrome, or defeated because there's no one left to trust, because there's been so many people that haven't shown up authentically. You know, this Scorpio season always can highlight betrayal stuff, right? And so the battle is like to avenge this stuff. It's like literally seeing like the battle in like Wakanda and like Infinity War, where it's like the battle is going, well, you resurrect your soul's code of knowing what is truthful and aligned in yourself, that it's probably that scary block that if you address that thing, you go and do that, that's the thing that's gonna set you free. You start aligning and vibing differently, and then you're around naturally different people. That's this astrology in a nutshell. Or you can get too distracted and dumbed down by the noise going on politically and social media and the dopamine hits, and take that as your, you know, numbing solution of dopamine. I hate, you know, I came in this video and I was like, I'm gonna be so loving and compassionate today, and it's like, maybe it's the Capricorn in me or this astrology, I don't fucking know, but it's like the dry sarcasm to like call this stuff out. And it's weird, and maybe even that's a mask for me to like look at. Like I'll cop to the vulnerability where it's like I don't talk with people like this, like one-on-one, You know, like even if I'm talking in front of people, like public speaking, I'm not like poking the bear like that, but it's so interesting for me on a personal level, like to address more of a collective audience and not knowing who's going to come forward. It's like, you know, waking people up to that and just like kind of being like, hey, bro, or, you know, gal, sister, like, what are you doing? You know, what are you up to? And for those that are not getting stuck in that shit, you know, good. Fuck yeah, keep going. You know, be that way shower that embodies, you know, what it's like to lead by example, but also the vulnerability of when you slip, because the slips are everywhere. No one's like some perfect fucking ascended master that's got it all figured out. It's just we're all just doing our work, you know, and this is deep inner work central right now. So if you want to dive into that block that's within you, that thing that's going to change your life, like the number one thing that I do, I'm so blessed that I had years to step into this, because when I learned astrology from the astrologer I learned from, shout out to David Palmer, the Leo King, guy's a genius when it comes to the collective, just like shit that's going on. But my first reading with him, he was like, bro, you're here to free others from emotional jail to pursue true desire. And literally that breaks down to where people are afraid to go for their passion because they feel blocked because of some fear, past trauma, subconscious, you know, belief. Like basically it's like I go in with compassion and grace and divine masculine, but still a touch of feminine, and help people like escort them and be that sacred guide, that, you know, wizard way shower to help overcome those blocks, to step into your truth. And also even exposing, you know, any illusions of who you are and maybe what you really want, to actually take you to your birthright of like what you're actually here to do, right? This brings up like deeper purpose and destiny. And if you want that, obviously honor everyone's free will, but if you want to know how to do that, that's where, you know, I work with people. That's where I go deep. Of course, it's always, you know, the astrology readings are always going to be the Trojan horse for giving people that map, that mythopoetic map where you can go DIY and go execute it. But it's really working with people for a period of a few months and going into container work, sacred container work, and using all my tools of hypnosis and breath work and just shamanism and just these different energetic approaches that are very intuitive and insightful and help get people to a more empowered version of themselves. And I feel just blessed that I just very authentically want that for people, because this new earth needs its leaders. And I know there's some people out there right now that are going through a filtration process with this astrology and maybe getting hung up a little bit, or maybe even just a part of them, part of you, right? Of going through that filtration system to let some of your old 3D karmic fears behind, so you can go to that next level that we're all being called to. Because with the fears and uncertainties that come up during this time, you know, it starts to really highlight kind of the end game energy of like, we're in that 2 to 3 year period where we're not in Kansas anymore. This is like Dorothy starting to accept she's going to some faraway land, you know, a place in reality that we didn't think that could like really happen, maybe because of our own collective narcissism, that we thought we could hold this world together like it was the unsinkable Titanic, when in reality, when all the problems have been like written on the wall. That's everything from late stage capitalism to poverty to just the way people in general can treat each other. And it's of course not everywhere, but it's like, you know, just this deep understanding that we have to like shift as a collective. We have to get to that 51%, you know, where more of us start operating at a more, it sounds weird to say, but like logical 5D frequency, where it's like, yeah, duh, like of course we have to evolve, of course we have to be more loving and compassionate, Like our survival, depends on it. Our survival depends on connection and allowing spirit to flow through us. And that means that our shadows and our blocks and our fears, they have to go. Which I really think it was at least a component, probably not all of it. It'll probably take forever to understand, what CV was on more of a energetic level, was where viruses tend to be, they come in whenever humanity needs a common motivator, which is often fear. It's very, Pluto energy. It was Pluto Saturn in 2020 that met Capricorn, changed everything forever, or at least for the next, few hundred years, 700-800 years. And that fear forces us to evolve. It forces deep inner reflection on this reality that we're in and asking, like, is it actually working, or do we need to change and transform? And so the nice thing is everyone knows that we need to transform, but it's also like, there was that Russell Brand movie, Get Him to the Greek, and he's like singing this like music video. He's like, we've got to do something. And he was like basically mocking the philanthropy mindset of Hollywood and just pop culture in general, of being like, we've got to do something. This world is not a friendly place, but then do we actually ever generate the footing or consistency to do it? And I know that's happening in places, but it's got to happen on an individual and a family level right now in this astrology, and subtly. And it's also where trophies of recognition don't get handed out too. Like, if anyone's looking to be recognized for their altruism or their spiritual nature of how they've shown up, or the deep spiritual work, just any of it, like, we're missing the mark. That's not really what this is about. It's more about the interpersonal deep validation within ourselves to penetrate to a cellular level, so that we can finally transcend this matrix reality. It was built on a reality matrix, fake achievement, get recognized by your peers, and that means that you made it and you're a success type of thinking. So that's pretty dope. I don't know what I just channeled. I'm going to go back and listen to that. But anyways, as always, astrology readings, of course, are on deck too. I don't know why this is coming through too, but just keep flowing with it. Do tarot as well. Mention the breathwork, hypnosis. I'll do solo sessions for anyone, but really the sweet spot's the container work. And then if anyone, of course, wants to get that Pluto and Capricorn special, there's still about a month left. It's only $8. You can buy that. I give all the minute markers so you can fast forward to your spot for your sun rising and sign. And some people like to do their moon sign, which is fine. If you want to study your astrology ebook, your astrology chart through my ebook, that's $33, which I think is a masterful tool, because we should all know ourselves pretty well by now. This is an important component, or at least be moving in that direction of that discernment. And then there's my astrology school. Like, if people want to like actually learn how to read this stuff on a day-to-day basis to see what's always going on, not just for you personally, for the collective, you maybe aspire someday to read astrology for other people. It's a valuable tool to have. My astrology school, Viking Rising Astrology, that's a 10+ hour recorded video school, PowerPoint, slide presentations, charts. I go through all the visuals and get deep into it, and created a community around that. That's going for $297. So, if anyone knows me on a personal level and they want to do a payment plan with that, reach out. Same thing with the coaching container work. But if I don't know you, it's business, Buster. No. I appreciate this opportunity to just be myself, to just be authentic, to sit outside in my backyard while the weather's still nice, in my purple collared shirt and my gym pants, because I'm going to the gym this afternoon. And just remember to like with Mars in its shadow, opposed Pluto, like, don't get so fucking serious into the developments of yourself and your shadow work that you forget to like just find the bonus of just enjoyment of life through just self-care and the things that just like nourish you and your identity, and not making any of that shit taboo or wrong, to not hold yourself back from the things that you want to be doing, because ultimately that's the ultimate matrix program that keeps people from doing what they want to do. And that it's not selfish if it's authentic and it resonates at your soul. Who gives a fuck if, you know, as long as it's not hurting anyone, like, you're good. And then who gives a fuck, like, if it's not like the perfect end all be all place that you're gonna go to, you still get to have an experience that teaches you lessons. Sometimes it's the same lesson over and over again, but this astrology reminds us, like, too, like, we get second chances and third and fourth and fifth, and God never stops giving chances. Even if you got to come back in the next life and do it all over again, there might be some stuff I have to come back and do, you know, with that. So it happens. And I think, you know, we'll talk more about that next year, where it's like, it's not about being perfect. It never is, but especially not next year. So Godspeed, y'all. Happy Scorpio season. Happy Mars opposed Pluto. Make the best of it. It's time to rise up, but it's time to rise up on a personal level where you're just you, because it's got to start with you. It's not about everything else. It's not that it's secondary, or that it's, you know, this narcissistic extension of you. It's just that you interact with your outside reality and others better when you get to who you really are, and you alchemize those fears and pain into passion and purpose. And so that's what I'm here to help people do, whether it's with these videos or deep interpersonal work. So love you all. See you next time.